Onion, 2 videos within like 2 months-ish. Who is she? Thought I'd come in for a quick video. I'm not going to ramble too much. I'm going to be a little bit to the point because I'm going for dinner with my family. I thought I would come and just share 2 books I'm reading right now and 2 books that I've recently finished. All native authored, and yeah, let's just get into it. Let's start with what I'm currently reading, which are these 2. So the first one is When Two Feathers Fell from the Sky by Cherokee author Margaret Verble. So I am not too far into this. I believe I'm like 60 pages in. I'm reading this one a little bit more slowly. I don't know if it's the writing style that's not, you know, when a book is good, it's not a bad book, but like the writing style just isn't the sort of writing that like you can really, I don't know, like there's some books where it's just written in a way where it's not even like I'm purposefully trying to speed read. It's just like I really want to know like what's gonna happen, and I just flow through it really easily. And I think that varies for everyone, like what kind of writing style it is, and this just isn't that type of writing for myself, although I do like it. I am gonna finish it, and I do think like having books written in this style by an Indigenous author is very important, if that makes sense. It very much reads like a classic book that, I don't know, that she would have found written quite a while ago. It is set in the 1920s, and I do think that it's kind of written in a way to suit that time, if that makes sense. I don't know. If you've read this, chime in with your thoughts if you know what I'm trying to say here. It's interesting because these are kind of like contrasting how I'm reading them. This is probably Ruby by Métis and Cree author Lisa Bird Wilson. This is an advanced reading copy, which I was gifted. I was also gifted When Two Feathers Fell from the Sky as well, but I was gifted this as well. And so it's an ARC, so it doesn't have too much information on the back. I started this book yesterday and I'm 130 pages in. I think that this book just like is what I needed to read right now. I've been in a bit of a reading slump. I've had a lot of things going on, and this just pulled me in right away. It does write of like some very like traumatic events. It is about intergenerational trauma, residential school trauma, being adopted as an Indigenous woman, and the effects that that's had on Ruby. But it's just gritty, it's emotional, and just the way that she describes certain family members, it just like, this is much needed right now, and I really like it. And I don't imagine anything happening in like the remaining 140 pages that is going to make me not like this, so I can already recommend it. It was just published a few days ago. Today's April 16th. I believe April 14th it was published. Not exactly sure of the date, but really, really good. 2 books I have finished recently. I'm gonna not be able to pronounce this right, but it's by a new author, Naomi Fontaine. Manikanatish. That's my attempt. So this was written in very like, it's kind of like a meditation-like book. It was translated from French into English. And the chapters are very short. So some of them, see, as you can see, it's just like a page and a half. Some of them are a couple pages. Naomi Fontaine is a very gifted writer. I have read her work before that I really liked. This one, I didn't care for too much. And I do think that maybe something was lost in translation, because on Goodreads and folks that I've talked about who have read this, who've read the French version, say that it's like so beautiful and they loved it so much. And I think that just sometimes that's just how it works with translated works. I don't know, but who knows, maybe if I had read the French version I would have held the same thoughts. It's like hard to say. I did like it. I thought that maybe I needed more substance with the characters. I just felt like I didn't really grow to care for the characters as much as maybe I needed to be more invested. I don't know. It is a good, like, I wouldn't not recommend it, if that makes sense. And I think especially with Indigenous literature, I never don't want to not recommend something, because you might pick this up and like those reviewers who loved it so much, you might love it too. That's just, of course, my opinion. I did still enjoy it. I did finish it. There was never a point where I was like, I'm gonna DNF it. I'm gonna do not finish. I finished. Okay, and finally, as we all know, I'm a Louise Erdrich super fan. If you've been wanting to read Louise Erdrich, specifically her Love Medicine series, I do have a YouTube video posted on my recommended reading order of the entire series, and I just go more in depth into that aspect of her published works. Anyway, so the newest book was The Sentence. It is a work of fiction. I was gifted this copy from HarperCollins, but it was also included in the Winter Raven Reads box. I am a Raven Reads ambassador, so if you want to like look into a subscription box like Raven Reads, which is Indigenous owned and operated and features various products from Indigenous businesses quarterly, and there's always a new Indigenous authored title included also, and that was The Sentence. So I do have an affiliate code. It's Danny Roulette. You can enter at checkout for 15% off. I'll include my affiliate link in the bio. This video isn't sponsored or anything. I just, if you're looking for a subscription box like that, there's a nice little discount for you. Okay, so this book was amazing. I'm not gonna ramble too much. I have a lot of thoughts on it, so if anyone is interested in like maybe like a fully fleshed video review, I can do that, because I did post a review on my Instagram, and then I also have the full review available for my patrons on Patreon. And I'm thinking going forward, I'm going to be doing like Patreon exclusive YouTube videos also, just with like bits and bobs, maybe getting ready, makeup tutorials, things like that, or like book hauls, and like thrift store hauls, things of that sort. So if you're interested, I'll put my Patreon down below also, and you can have a look at my tiers and whatnot. Anyway, onto The Sentence. This is kind of like a hybrid of like a ghost novel meets just everything that's been going on in the world right now. I know there are some folks who had a bit of a difficult time reading this because it does kind of take place at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown, how that affected Birch Bark Books, which is the bookstore that Louise Erdrich owns and is a central figure and almost a character in The Sentence. And then the murder of George Floyd is also described and discussed in the book, and the protests that took place and just police brutality, and so it does get very heavy, but I think having a book written about those events so soon after they happened, I think lends to like just the emotional charge and honestly like the emotional heaviness of the writing. And I think that reading it so soon after, it can feel heavy, but I think readers who are maybe going to be reading it in 40 years, you know, I think that's going to have a really, you know, lasting imprint when they're reading it. It's just a really good book about, you know, Indigenous identity, white folks who want Indigenous identity and kind of claim Native heritage and take up a lot of space, and like the harm that causes, the importance of books, of found family, the effects of incarceration on the Indigenous population, because the main character Tookie was incarcerated for many years, and she gets out and kind of forges this new life for herself. And Tookie is one of my new favorite literary characters. I love her so much. So this is a 5 out of 5 for me. Let me know if you want me to do a full video review again. I definitely can, but you can check out my Instagram if you are wanting to just kind of read my thoughts on that. And so yeah, that's it. Those are the 4 books that I wanted to share with you today. You can probably hear my dad zipping up his jacket, which is my cue for that it is time to leave. So miigwech, check out my links in the description, and that's it. Thanks for watching.